All right, let's talk about some 12 leads. Let's talk about, this is just going to be a quick breakout video of kind of what we've already talked about on the slides. I mean, on the PowerPoint slides of 12 leads, groupings, all of that. So remember, we'll use the mnemonic Lisa for our lead grouping. We have lateral, inferior, septal, and anterior. Remember, within our groupings, we'll just write them out here real quick. We have lead 1, we're talking about lateral now, AVL. We have V5 and 6. In inferior, we have 2, 3, and AVF. Septal, we have V1 and 2. And anterior, we have V3 and 4. Okay? So, how you go about determining the way you want to group these together and how you go about looking at this is going to all be up to you. I've showed you what I do, which essentially is just make a weird L here for that. I make a weird I for that, this, and an A. Now, one thing you can also do, though, is you can just, whoops, hang on, let me just do this. You can also just do a quick few little circles. So these go together, these go together, these go together, these go together, and these go together. So you can also do that. Now the difference is with that, you've got to, not that it was really easy to tell the L or the I, we had to get pretty creative, and the A even had to get pretty creative recognizing those letters. But a lot of times you'll see ER docs or maybe some pretty seasoned paramedics kind of just group it up this way. So like I said, however you choose to do it is going to be up to you. But the key thing, though, is going to be that we group them up: lateral, inferior, septal, and anterior. That's going to be the key to determining how, where there might be an injury or infarction. So let's just start over, take a quick look at this, and we're just going to do it the way that I do it, because it's easy for me. I'll probably mess it up if I don't do it that way. Oh boy. Now, talk about messing it up. Hang on here. There we go. Must not have pushed the button right or something. There we go. Now, okay, jeez. Hang on, I'm sorry. Let me see what I've got here. Let me go to the computer. So, as we said before, this is the first lead that we're going to, what I like to do is I like to go ahead and make my groupings. So, and then go ahead and look at everything. So, number one, I'll start with my L. So, let's see what we see here. Looks like we've got a little bit of elevation right there, don't we? We go into L, which I did not get circled very well, did I? Now I got a mess. But we go into L, obviously have some ST elevation there. ST elevation here as well. So we know we have some lateral wall involvement. This is your high wall and your lower wall of lateral wall. So it appears that we've got involvement throughout everywhere. Well, if you remember back to your reciprocal leads, we would expect, so for A, let's hang on, talk about our lateral leads. We need to have 2 or more of those contiguous leads, right, to confirm or verify. We've got elevation in all 4 of these leads. Now we need to look for reciprocal leads. Reciprocal leads for our lateral leads are going to be our inferior leads. So 2, not so much. We go down here to lead 3. You can start to see right here we're at our J point. It is all messed up. We're significantly below. And then AVF has some ST depression as well. Septal over here looks pretty good, and anterior, that has a little bit, but not enough depression to really tell us much, other than maybe some ischemia issues throughout the heart. So what we have here is a lateral infarct. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look down here at this one. See if I can actually write on the board now if I've got it fixed. Let's take a look at our bottom one. Once again, we'll just do it a different way this time. So we'll group them up this way. 1 in AVL, 5 and 6, 2, 3 in AVF, and we got a 4R. So if you remember, we talked a little bit about V4R. Remember, many times, I forgot what the number was, should have looked it up, but I didn't. But with an inferior wall MI, you can have some right ventricular involvement. So what most places have started doing over the last number of years is doing a right-sided MI, or right-sided 12 lead. So what you do, we've mentioned it, but I want to remind you, you got one or two things. Some monitors now are coming with V4R already put into the scheme of things, but if not, all you're going to do is you're going to run your normal 12 lead, you're going to pull V4 off of your left side, put it in the exact same spot as your right side, reshoot a new 12 lead. This obviously has it on here because we can look and see that we've got V4R here. So what a lot of times people will do, or services will do within their protocols, is they say when you find that you have inferior wall elevation, that you go ahead and do a right-sided MI 12 lead. So let's look at our stuff we've got here and here. So lateral, it does look like we might have some depression down here. 5 and 6, not so much. When we go to 2, 3 in AVF, our second grouping here, looks like, yeah, we have some elevation, and we don't need to even be a cardiologist to figure that one out, that we have some elevation, as well as AVF over here, we have some elevation as well. Now, because we had elevation in 2, 3 in AVF, we would go ahead and do a V4R, right? Well, let's take a look at V4R. And when we do, we see that you have all of this elevation here. So, depends upon how you want to say it. It could be just a right ventricular infarction. It could be an inferior wall MI with right ventricular involvement. But that's what we're looking at. So we have 2, 3 AVF. We went ahead and did V4R. Now we do see, well, V1 and V2 are looks like it might be a little bit wide as well, but we do appear to have some elevation there. When we get down to V2, we don't. So we're not going to worry about that. And then 3 and 4 is, other than V4R, we're clear there. So we've got inferior wall, right-sided involvement, right ventricular infarction. That's kind of how we do that. So I know it's a big old mess, but I've given you two ways to look at it. And there's somebody in class that found out a different way that they found very easy, and I bet you could go online and find 10 different ways to remember these groupings and all of that. I use this way up here because I find it easy, because once your mind is a little distorted and know what you're looking for, that looks like an L. That's an I and an S and an A. Once you become a lot more accustomed to looking at this and remembering what lateral and inferior and all of that is, it's not going to matter anyway. So you just figure out what works for you, and you carry on and do some good 12-lead EKG interpretation. So that's it for 12, quick kind of down and dirty 12-lead interpretation, kind of the groupings. Thanks.